I've always been a fan of the James Bond franchise, and for some reason, November has become somewhat of an unofficial Bond month for me. I'm not sure when or how the tradition started, whether it was the Thanksgiving Bond marathons on cable or the fact that it seems like they would always release a new movie in the franchise in November. Either way, I usually dedicate spots in the month to watch a few movies and of course play some classic 007 games. Needless to say, when it comes to Bond games, GoldenEye for the Nintendo 64 was the crown jewel. It created the foundation of first-person shooters on console, bringing with it huge strides in the genre, introducing more atmospheric game design, and especially in its incredible multiplayer. If you ever owned a 64, chances are you've spent many late evenings playing deathmatch with your friends. Since people still know and even play GoldenEye today, I wanted to take a look back at some of the lesser-known Bond games of the same era and why they aren't as well remembered.
There as well.
After the huge success of GoldenEye, MGM Interactive started work on the adaptation of the next movie in the franchise, Tomorrow Never Dies. During this process, EA Games took over the James Bond license and handed over development to Black Ops Entertainment to finish up the game. It finally released on the original PlayStation in 1999, over 2 years after the theatrical release of the film. Initially, the game was supposed to be a follow-up to the events of Tomorrow Never Dies movie instead of a straight adaptation, but after several test viewings, many focus groups wanted to play scenes from the actual film, so the game was reworked to do so. I'm not entirely sure what the development team was thinking, but you can clearly tell that they took a completely different approach to everything that made GoldenEye successful. They put it on a completely different system, made it a third-person shooter instead of a first-person shooter, and completely removed the multiplayer element. But let's take a moment and try to look back at the game without comparing it to GoldenEye to see if there's still enjoyment to be had. The game opts for the third-person shooter style, using a pseudo-auto-locking system that targets enemies when they get close. This feels a little wonky because you can't really fine-tune who you're shooting at, and it results in you having to mow down whoever is closest. This can cause frustration because the AI can easily hit you far from off-screen, and getting hits causes Bond to react and freeze for a moment. So trying to strafe and crouch behind cover is the only way to protect yourself. This flaw is most hindering in huge gunfights where you get bullied by lots of enemies and can't move fast enough without taking lots of damage. This is balanced out somewhat by making health packs and armor readily available. There is an option to switch to a first-person reticle to get some stealthy long-distance shots, but the downfall is that you can't move while you're in this view, which makes it difficult in heated firefights. Graphically, the game has aged just as you'd expect for an older PlayStation game, with standard issues of that era. The environments and characters look super blocky, polygon edges can really be noticed, and a lot of texture warping can be seen. Overall, if you have no issues playing GoldenEye today, then you won't be too offended by the graphics of Tomorrow Never Dies. You may even enjoy them more because of the better resolution.
It's not nice to keep a lady waiting. Where is Paris? Let's talk about where the red encoder is first, shall we?
The levels are adaptations from scenes in the movie, with a few expanded levels added in for good measure. Each level has a different feel from the previous one, and they offer a range of different objectives to complete in order to finish the mission. These objectives can be rather diverse, from taking pictures of military equipment to destroying power generators, most of which incorporate some of Bond's famous array of gadgets.
After that incident in Hamburg, I had to make a few refinements. She now has improved machine guns, heat-seeking rockets, and stronger armor.
Like I mentioned before, the game was planned as a follow-up to the events of the movie, and some of the added levels feel like they were pulled directly from that original design. With these liberties, they added a lot of fun, unique gameplay sequences in part of the levels. From skiing sections to driving sections, they even have a level where you can play as Wei Lin. These added levels offer some great flavor and break up some of the monotony, and overall these sections work well enough. Surprisingly, there are a lot of moments that I actually enjoyed in Tomorrow Never Dies, feeling like a slightly broken, weird, perverse version of Doom. My biggest complaint about the game is the camera itself, which seems to yo-yo from far behind the character to right over the shoulder when you draw close to the walls of the environment. This becomes terrible in some of the indoor levels to the point where I started feeling nauseous due to the frequency of the camera changing. It's hard for me to fully recommend this game to someone, even if you're a huge Bond fanatic like myself. There are a lot of old clunky elements that a lot of people just won't have the patience for. If you can overlook these flaws and you enjoy playing low-poly shooters, or even if you have an interest in James Bond games in general, there is still fun to be had. While not even in the same planet as GoldenEye, a lot of the unique things they tried to do can be appreciated and, dare I say, enjoyed. If you want to pick it up for yourself, then you're in luck, because you can easily snag yourself a physical copy for under $5 complete. As you can see here, I have the quote-unquote Collector's Edition, which is one of the 3 games in the EA Action Pack. The EA Action Pack is a bundle that includes Medal of Honor, 007 Racing, and Tomorrow Never Dies. From what you can see, the major differences are the white PlayStation label as opposed to the black one, and the words Collector's Edition on top. The other interesting thing is the disc label is also white and marked as the Collector's Edition as well. Other than that though, there isn't any extra special stuff on the disc. It looks like the Collector's Edition of the game is running a little higher, closer to the $10 mark, and if you're looking for the complete EA Action Pack set, that may be a little bit more difficult for you to find. Recent sales on eBay showed about $20. Next time on RustPromoter, I'm going to tackle The World Is Not Enough for the Nintendo 64 and PlayStation 1 and see if Bond's return to first-person shooters stacks up or fizzles out. Thanks for watching.